Welcome to SorWil Solutions, where we talk about what's going on in our community. Today's special guest is Alisa Murphy. She's president of the Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club. I'll be honest, I didn't know anything about the Spouses Club until I got involved with the chamber leadership class. And you came up, I think there were some people that were on your board that were in our class, but I had no idea what it was. And you guys have a very important role that you play with our military soldiers. But before we get into that, can you just tell us a little bit about you, about some of the things that you do and about the things that you're involved in?
Well, I'm a mother.
Okay, good. It's a good start.
Firstly, a wife. I have 5 kids. They go from the ages of almost 45 down to 21.
Okay.
So a broad expanse.
Uh-huh.
We've been living here since we arrived in 2002 on my birthday.
Okay.
And opened up our bank account, got a post office box, and lived in a hotel for 45 days.
Yep.
The first thing that I did when I got here was look to see if they had a spouses club. Where we were stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, I was a village mayor for 3 years at the largest community. I was the treasurer of the enlisted spouses club. I was FRG leader for 2 separate FRGs, worked with Fisher House, Volunteer Child Care Fund. So we'll just backtrack and say I've been volunteering since I can remember at the age of 7, selling Girl Scout cookies door to door.
And so your husband was in the military. Is he still in the military?
No, he is retired.
He's retired.
He did 14 years in the Marines,
Wow.
6 in the Army. That's how he got to Fort Hood to get to Leavenworth. My ex-husband was also a Marine.
Okay.
That's where my first 2 children came from.
Gotcha.
And he retired and he got a job with housing before it privatized. And then he's just moved up over the last 21 years into various jobs, and he works for the Department of Army now.
Oh, wow.
So he's been doing that for 21 years.
So what is it that the Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club does exactly? I mean, for people who don't know about it, and I think there's a broad group of people who really don't understand what it is you guys do and how you serve and how you help our community.
So firstly, the Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club is a social organization for spouses to get together, learn from each other, reinforce each other. But I think what's more important is to know the history of the Spouses Club. And I did bring some notes on that just in case.
Please.
So in the 1919 to 1921, Mrs. Elizabeth, I don't know how to say her middle name very well, Smith, who was inducted into a Hall of Fame for the military at General Staff College. She established the Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club. The reasoning is she was heavily into the suffrage movement and women getting the right to vote. And we didn't have the right to vote here at that time. So she wanted to help the military spouses use their voices through socialization and engagement to help get themselves and work toward that vote that passed in 1920.
Oh, wow.
Well, October of 1920 was when it was officially created, the Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club as well.
So it's pretty historical.
It is very historical. She has a house that's on the walking to, or I don't know that you can necessarily want to walk to it. But it's over near the Animal Control Center there on Fort, and there's like a placard there for her. But she also utilized this not just for the military spouses. There was a civilian community connection as well, because those women need to know their rights, property ownership, voting, and such. So that's how it was initially established.
Okay.
And October of this year will be our 106th year.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we do a lot more than socialization, because similar to wanting to get out the vote, you're still helping community and making those connections. So we continue to do that. So we will have fundraisers. We'll volunteer to work other events that will garner tip donation monies that will help. And they go into our scholarship funds and our community assistant grants funds.
Okay.
Last year, the board, I was not on the board last year. It's kind of like one of these things. I've been a Spouses Club member since 2002, but sometimes you have time to be active on a board, and other times you just step
Mhm.
back and you're just a member. So last year I was back as a member. This year I came forward to serve as a role. Um, Last year they raised gave away $24,000. This year, right now, our estimation, and we still have a couple of fundraisers out there, so I don't know what the total will be, but we're looking at approximately $35,000 we have raised
Wow.
to split between those two funds. So, and how they've done it before is, I'll use last year's as an example.
Okay.
12 of the 24 went for scholarships. 12 recipients got $1,000 each through their vetting processes.
Mhm.
And then there were 12 community grants. So people that could apply were the Hope Animal Shelter, Leavenworth County, Historical Society, Leavenworth County.
So not just
Humane
things on
Society.
Fort Leavenworth.
No, our community
Okay.
grants is for inside and outside the
Wow.
gates. Our scholarships do have a little bit more narrow on that, but we do have open our scholarship applications for students, and it includes students leaving high school going on to college, students that are furthering their education within college, and then adult learners.
Oh, wow.
So you could get your more advanced degrees and things like that to apply. That process is open right now, and you can
Mhm.
get that link on our webpage Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club.org
Okay.
or the Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club FLSC on Facebook.
Okay, great.
And the community assistance grant should be coming up very shortly. So that's where those organizations, scouts have applied
Mhm.
to help with camp or other things that they needed to do. We just ask whenever you do apply for a scholarship and you are, or a grant, and you are granted that grant, that you show us the receipts that you actually
That you actually
purchased,
used it, huh?
what you used it, what
Uh-huh.
you stated for. So we've incorporated some things because sometimes people forget or whatever. We show a lot of grace, but tax-wise, it's really important as a nonprofit, not just a social organization, that we do that.
Wow. It's amazing that you do so many. I think when people think about this, they think that you guys are just on Fort Leavenworth and it's just a group of people that get together. As a spouse, though, there are men and women in the organization.
Absolutely.
So I think people think of mostly soldiers in the military, but that's not the world we live in. So the spouses can be either. How much support do you provide as military members are deployed, helping those spouses while their husbands are gone, doing those kind of things that are protecting our country?
That's kind of a little different entity here because for the most part, this is a schoolhouse.
Okay.
The majority of the people that come here are either permanent party support for
Mhm.
the hospital, CGSE, SAMS, those other organizations. Of course, we have the MPs, and
Mhm.
sometimes they do deploy.
Okay.
We're always there to offer whatever anybody may need, even if it's just a safe place to hang out and make new friends. Hence the socialization at our luncheons. We're pretty social at our fundraising events as well. But it's not like we're a family readiness or a family deployment group. Usually
Gotcha.
that's contained within that organization's, what I call it, FRG,
Okay.
that they build in that support there. But we're always there open for our members and have them participate. Businesses can be vendors at our events. We have sponsors on and off the fort. So it's still basically the connections, meeting new friends,
Mhm.
having old friends come back because this is a transitional installation.
Sure.
And it transitions every 9 months to a year, basically.
Wow.
So the proportion of that is schoolhouse. Plus, we get the international sponsors. We have those too. Students and their spouses who participate. So there's a broad area of support for them as well.
How large is the organization? How many members do you guys have?
Last count I saw, I think it was 242.
Wow.
That's actually kind of small.
Is it?
At one point, we had over 400 members.
Oh my goodness.
During the time that I've been here. Been here.
Why do you think it's smaller now than other times?
I'll be honest, COVID killed a whole lot of things. It just
Oh.
kind of like
It just never bounced back from that.
I don't think a lot of things ever really truly bounce back from that too. Demographics of the family have changed over the years. More people are working outside of the homes. So they can't always go to the luncheons, because if you're driving to Kansas City, it's really hard to get all the way back here for that. Hence why we try to do some evening things. We also have probably at least 18 sub clubs.
Really?
And if you're a member, you can attend those sub clubs. We have a craft sub club, a painting sub club, a cooking sub club, a bowling sub club, a bunko sub club. So there's something for kids, for parents to do a venture play group, day or night, 2 different book sub clubs, a day and a night, to try if you can't participate in those things, or childcare is a problem.
Okay.
Because we don't, unless you're breastfeeding, our luncheons aren't usually kid friendly. Not that there's anything non-kid like, it's just that time, adult time to socialize and have that time away. But daycare gets really, really expensive, and it's pretty hard to get in for it or off, especially for hourly care. So we offer those sub clubs so they can find something. Pickleball, that's another big one that's really blown
taking
up.
over our world right now.
That's okay. It's a lot like tennis, and I can play tennis.
So you said you were in another spouses club before you were with Fort Leavenworth.
Been in several.
Oh, really?
Several.
And how do you see, is there differences between them? Are they generally the same?
When it gets to, Marine Corps may have different regulations, whatever they did, and those have all changed over the years too. I became a military spouse in 1980, 46 years ago.
Oh, wow.
When I first became a military spouse. And Marine Corps, traditionally, it was like key wife within the company. That was at Camp Lejeune in 1980. That progressed and changed. I was in the Spouses Club at Quantico, which is another schoolhouse installation. And I was the vice president for the Enlisted Spouses Club for 2 years and the treasurer for the Staff Spouses Club for 1 year. And then again at Fort Hood was the treasurer at the Enlisted Spouses Club. What's changed a lot, which could kind of reflect with some of what Mrs. Smith was trying to do to make sure women could have the vote in things and organize together and support each other, is they finally changed the structure of the Spouses Club. There is no more enlisted. There is no more staff and CO. There is no more officer clubs.
Okay.
It is spouses clubs. We don't wear their ranks. So we're there for all our spouses. So it keeps it more friendly, and you're not worried about, oh, that's such and such's wife, or that, I can't go or say something wrong, because we're just spouses. And that's what makes it very important.
And when did that change happen?
Oh, it had not changed at Fort Hood when I got here. I think it was just changing as I got here.
And so that just created more of the opportunity for people the club to be larger, because it's not separate clubs.
Absolutely.
And to mingle regardless of your spouse's rank or place in the facility.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
What is you're the president this year.
Yes, sir.
How has that been? How is it being the president of the organization? How's that changed for your role and what you're doing? What responsibilities do you have for the organization?
Mine is to facilitate and conduct the meeting, which is kind of a traditional role for all presidents. When I came in, the first thing I did tell my board, I was not coming in to micromanage. If they needed some direction, I would offer my insights on that. But we're all adults, and everybody has extensive experience through their various roles of other places they've been in, organizations they've worked through, and that I was just going to watch.
Gotcha.
Kind of watch. I do govern. I am the full umbrella over the whole entire board and organization, but I have my little sub umbrellas. I have a first VP who handles all the fundraising and nonprofit fundraising. And then she'll have the umbrella of the community grants, community outreach, and those umbrellas, which also could include special events for like the home tours. So we did for the first time, we were in charge of the haunted home tour. And made it.
I wanted to go on that. I've never been on.
The museum used to do it years ago, and of course, with government changes and policies and funding, that had went away. And MWR did it the year before, and we did it last year, and we made almost $8,000
Wow.
just to do tours in the night and tell spooky stories and have actors and walk around. They didn't even get to go in the homes. This April on the 11th is our spring homes tour, where
Okay.
you do get to go into some of the historic homes and hear stories of the previous occupants of some of those homes. I don't have that list in front of me because
Okay.
they just had their first committee meeting last week or on Monday. Yep, last week. They will use an example. They may go to the Custer House, or they may go to One Scott. I do know One Scott is on the tour. That's Commanding General's house.
Yep.
And that's built on a graveyard. That's a spooky story and a beautiful inside history because the woodwork's all done by people from the DB maintain all that woodwork. So that incorporates knowing what happens with the prison population that may be on the installation for whatever reasons and their craftsmanship.
I had the opportunity. I worked for Michael's Military Housing for a while on Fort Leavenworth, and actually worked in their corporate office in Camden, New Jersey for a few years. So I've been through a lot of those homes. I've heard a lot of the stories. I've been in some of the buildings at night. Some of those places are a little bit spooky. I will say that. What is your biggest event during the year?
We try to make all our events big. So the homes tour was close to 8,000.
Okay.
I think. But then we had a wreath and tree auction. We realized for our December event where we like to do evening events, we would have just done it with our regular membership. And that's usually you can come to explore one and then decide if you fit in for a member within policies or what other broad outreach we may have. And we realized that we're allowed 4 a year. And we realized we still hadn't done one.
Okay.
So I said, why don't we turn it into a fundraiser and open it up to the community wide?
Okay.
We got permission to do that. We got over 100 donations of trees, wreaths, and gift baskets. Raised close to $8,000. People had a blast. We had the best Grinch in the whole wide world, the best backdrops in the whole wide world, all because of the hardworking volunteers. Their tremendous food. We had steamship round and chicken and vegetable. And it was a full holiday meal. And we wore ugly sweaters. Instead of being more formal, we wore ugly sweaters so you could loosen up, relax, and enjoy yourselves, and had an ugly sweater contest too. So it just made us make sure the community know we're here for them too. They are welcome, and their assistance, that when they donate, give, or support us, of where it's going, and that we appreciate them as well, that it's not our gates are closed just because there's a fence around it and guards around it, that we try to reach out as much as possible. That's why it was also really important for us to keep the relationship with the city for Camp Leavenworth.
Okay.
So the 2 days that we worked Camp Leavenworth, and I was there from the very beginning of the first day till the very end of the last night, straight through. And we raised $2,500 in tips, just manning a beer tent. And that community support and outreach that was given to us just because we were there means a tremendous amount to us and to everyone that we're going to give these monies to as we get ready to start taking the applications.
How closely do you work with the city of Leavenworth on things?
Well, I personally am a member of the Women's Chamber, and the Spouses Club is a member of the chamber.
Okay.
As for working with the city per se, they haven't really asked for a lot of help. I do communicate things that I see and know. I help market and share items like with the women's chamber. They're getting ready to do the Roper Romp again.
Yep.
And I was, a real big proponent of that. So as soon as they started sharing that, I immediately started sharing it. And I do run a Facebook group that's Fort
Okay.
Leavenworth military spouses. You have to be a military spouse because some of the information that could be shared in there. But I make sure they all get that information. So I think the biggest role of even networking with the city is making sure that we're sharing that information for each other.
You guys meet on Fort Leavenworth, I take it?
We do.
Where do you guys meet at?
Well, when we have our board meetings, we meet at the Resiliency Center, also
Okay.
known as ACS. And
Okay.
predominantly our luncheon is the second Wednesday of the month, usually.
Uh-huh.
And that is usually at the FCC, the Frontier Conference Center. I know I ramble off acronyms.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
military
That's
thing.
a
All
true
the acronyms.
military spouse right
Yeah.
there.
Well, we used to take classes to learn that Army, and I used to teach those Army family team building.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I had to
That's
learn the Army way after being a Marine Corps wife so long. So
Uh-huh.
that was the first way to learn, and so I started teaching it.
What was the most, and I asked this, I was an Army brat. My dad was in the military for a number of years. He didn't do 20, but I tell the story. We were in Germany for 8 years. We were supposed to go to Hawaii. We ended up in Kansas, super disappointed at 12 years old. What was the hardest part for you about being a military spouse?
There's many places I would have loved to stay, but my heart had really hung on to Texas. We were there for almost 4 years. Like I said, I was a mayor for 3,
Mm-hmm.
FRG the whole time, plus all the Army family team building classes. I was teaching when 9/11 happened. I was teaching two of the hardest classes to teach, and that was to see the towers fall and go teach adapting to change and coping with crisis.
Oh my gosh.
Which is really, I can actually get a little emotional still
Yeah.
of having to go in and teach that with my box of tissues and have people we're going to let some things out here. The toughest thing is to pull up stakes and make your kids leave everything they develop and find. And hindsight, foresight, after all these years as a military spouse and a mother is, we talk about all our kids are resilient. And they are. They are true dandelions, and they spread everywhere, and they're strong and resilient. But I think they share pain that they did not realize they had of every time we had to pull them away from their best friends, especially if you've been there for 5 years or you were there for 8. That's very difficult. And I don't think all those previous years, we really truly understood it as much as we're starting to understand things now, as therapy is more easily accessible and people have more open conversations.
I would complete as a child at the time. I would completely agree with you. Finding we moved so often that it always felt like you were starting over.
Mhm.
And so trying to find friends and develop those relationships that you'd groomed over several years was always the toughest part. But at the same time, you're right. We created a certain amount of resiliency because it was always fascinating to learn about a new place as well. And we were always excited to go at the same time. So it's kind of an odd mix of emotions, especially if you've never been in the military or been a part of the military to be able to move from place to place like that.
Absolutely. Hence, the Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club can help make that easier.
Helps make that transition
Because we
easier.
have our arms open. We want to bring you in. We want to show you what we have, offer, talk about the things that you can do. And we do. We talk about the history. Because at one point, I was the president of the Leavenworth County Historical Society.
Oh, really?
And they did a little haunted few years ago, I want to say 22-ish, where they had a casket inside and kind of spooked it up a little bit and talked about the older history of Houdini and the seances and
Mhm.
how they did their spiritualism there in a historical way. So I can respect all that. And I want those spouses to know these things and where this is. And that way it makes it easier for them if they're already kind of comfortable with the area, or they
Yeah.
can go with a friend and continue to meet and grow and discover places for their kids as well. And the city has a lot of opportunities.
How hard is it to get people to come into the spouses club for the first time? I mean, is that something you've got to kind of
We
groom
do.
people? How do you recruit, I guess, is a better question.
Well, I try to recruit every day. Technically, this is a recruiting moment.
Okay.
I always try to find the positive in everything. So what happens is our board year ends on May 31st. We'll have
Okay.
elections for any board members that are running, or, if it's a clean slate, it just gets voted and passed through.
Mm-hmm.
Still finishes out with the old board. That's in April. Finishes out with the old board on May 31st. June 1st, new board picks up and runs. Now, we may actually have some people that have chosen to be part of the board that haven't even quite gotten here yet.
Oh, really?
They're en route, but we know they're coming, so we allow them to apply. And anything outside of the executive board that is elected, those other positions that aren't already filled or expressed interest that they want to maintain their role the next year, then it is the president's choice on who can fill in what slots. And people can interview, talk to, and I haven't turned anyone away. So it's pretty easy. Somebody wants to serve. In one of the other big roles I had in Texas, I was sent to TRADOC and various other volunteer management
Mm-hmm.
classes. So I never want to turn a volunteer away. And a volunteer's role is no less important than a paid person.
Okay.
The only difference is a paid person's paid. Volunteers not. But all should be treated with respect and dignity. And, you got to give them a rewards. So I don't care if it's a little bag of M&Ms that, tell them that red, white, and blue, and they just spangled like the Star Spangled Banner just to say thank you. It's a needed thing, little thank you tokens and things like that. And there's bigger awards as it comes down to the year. For April is Volunteer Appreciation Month.
As we look to the future, what do you think is the biggest challenge that's facing you guys?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. We can go back to the recruiting thing. What
Mhm.
happens? We get a large portion right now. There's a huge chunk of the executive board and part of the rest of the board. They're leaving beginning of May into May. So we're going to be kind of clumping in a little closer together, picking up the extra jobs until it switches on June 1st, whatever may switch. August, we do Hair Day. And we have a table and we recruit people as they're coming in and the meeting and the international spouses. We also have a super sign up. So we set up vendor tables of businesses that want to be there, which is actually kind of like a fundraiser, but not, because it's super sign up, but they can
Mhm.
sit there and show off. You could show off your business and what you could do for people on, I don't know what you could do on for
Uh-huh.
with your technology, but your technology for the people that are renting off for it, buying homes, deciding to retire, beauty shops, spas, nonprofits, churches, all just business wares,
Mhm.
set up tables, and then they start to see exactly what chambers set up before, CVB set up before. So they all get to set up and share everything that they have that people can explore. So that helps with recruitment quite a bit as well. And then it's just continued conversations and people trying things out and seeing. Sub clubs are a huge recruitment tool because there is so much work. They may not get to go to luncheon, but there's, like I said, at least 18 sub clubs. Can't say you can't find something to do in there within a month, and they meet every month.
Do you guys get a list as new people are coming in so you know who to reach out to or how to reach out to them? Or
No,
is it all they have to reach out to you?
well, housing's supposed to have some of our information. We are working on some additional
Mhm.
marketing things and in discussions on how to do that. Broaden some outreach on Facebook. We also have to hem up some things within our board policies, constitution, and bylaws, because that is kind of a fluid thing. And with social media, so many different
Mhm.
things change. And then you want to make sure you are there meeting that change while also protecting yourself from things that could be done that could be harmful. So that's just another figure to kind of work on. Social media sometimes is not always as popular as some people think it is. You have one age demographic that primarily uses Facebook, which is usually 40s and on up. You have a younger crowd that is Instagrammers. And then you got your Snapchatters. Then you got your TikTokers. And that takes a lot of volunteer time to do those things as well. And we try and allow our volunteers to make sure they have their family time because they're just coming here and they need time to explore and readapt their family. So we're not trying to be so expansive that we're all doing full-time jobs to do this.
As you prepare somebody who joins the club and you're preparing them for Leavenworth, Kansas, what are some of the things that you like to educate them on?
We have great schools.
Mhm.
If and it is open enrollment. So, maybe if they can't get into because maybe something filled up on Fort and they qualify, maybe they can utilize Lawson. That is a fantastic facility. Um, the same the other way. We just encourage people. I know people who live on Fort or their spouses work on Fort. It's easier to have your kids on Fort. We've been there. We did the same thing. But you may also say, hey, it's not so bad right outside the gates
Mhm.
either. I tell them there's fantastic museums. There's so much to learn. There's walking tours in town and on Fort if you have Fort access. So I encourage people, if it's a nice day, go take a walk, see some of the markers. I used to live in Osage when you first come in past the old Patton and that housing right there. Well, that little creek and field that's down there is where Wild Buffalo Bill set up his encampment.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't even know that.
That's true.
And my husband, like you, like I said, when he first retired, he worked for housing and he went through as a inspector is pre-privatization. An inspector, he went to enlisted housing and then to student housing and was getting ready to do off-post referrals before he got another job with the college. So I truly understand those dynamics with it, and I watched the privatization part of that. I was part of that with Fort Hood. So it's just keep those conversations open and talking. But again, that's why it's always really important that we hold our arms open, inviting those community entities in. Because as much as I could share,
Mhm.
I would even get tired of hearing myself talk. So that's why we like to invite the community in to share their experiences and what they have to offer.
What's the biggest opportunity that you guys have to make an impact in the near future?
I think our community grants and scholarships are the
That's
biggest
really where it
opportunity.
is.
That's where we primarily do our focus. Um, and I'll go into this. That's a
Sure.
really great lead in because you didn't even know I was going to bring this history. Um, Mrs. Smith founded the first Parent Teachers Association.
Oh, really?
That was founded here on
The first
Fort and was the
PTA.
first PTA. So everybody talks about first. It wasn't just the first fort or the first city. It was also the first PTA and the first for on fort and off fort and enabled parents to realize that they had voices as well. Now things have changed a lot in 106
Uh-huh.
years, but the dynamics and foundation is still there. And it's a good point to remember and keep people active into that.
As far as the historical piece of it, where do you see the biggest impact that besides the women's suffrage music movement, which was huge, where else do you see the biggest impact that the Spouses Club made historically?
They didn't give me that much history. I think historically, even though it's not our primary function to raise money for those grants and scholarships,
Uh-huh.
I think every dime more that we do makes an historical impact for someone. Um, I think being a schoolhouse and so transient, our impacts are that you may get to see your friends here again. and then you may see them on other installations because you spider web out. Um, but we do maintain those friendships, usually for lifetimes. I know I'm still friends with Marine Corps spouses that I made back in 1983.
It's funny because when we came to Fort Leavenworth, we ran into people that we met early on in our tour in Germany, and seeing them again was just it was surreal, and it's such a unique life being an army brat or an army spouse. I'm sure it's there's nothing that it compares to. Um, you went how many different installations were you at?
Oh, let me see. Between 2 marriages and 46 years. Camp Lejeune, Quantico. I was in Quantico for 10 and a half years.
Oh
That's
wow.
when the divorce was, and then
Mhm.
come back over. Quantico, 29 Palms, and then Chris went to recruiting duty, school in San Diego, so I drove down to visit him quite a bit, and then we got stationed Springfield, Massachusetts, and something had happened, so they needed a recruiter in Pittsfield, Mass. Not my favorite place.
Okay.
Really small, kinda depressing, but still had great opportunities.
Okay.
We had the Pittsfield Mets that played right down the street from us.
Oh wow.
We had, Norman Rockwell's museum because he lived in Lenox, Mass, right by there. And then he got out of the Marine Corps and joined the Army, and we went to Texas, and we were there almost 4 years or 5 years. And then we got here, he got injured and had to have surgery and got reclassed to admin and went to school in South Carolina. We stayed in Texas, and then he got orders to here. And so then he was active duty a year and a half, and it was time to retire at 20.
Wow.
So, it wasn't that it was so many there are so many other spouses, they
Sure.
literally move 9 months, 2 years, 3 years consistently.
Mhm.
I got longevity. My ex-husband shot for the Marine Corps shooting team, so I got that longevity. My husband, Chris, he was a primary marksmanship instructor for the lieutenants, a little bit of a transient population. But that still kept me with that same Marine Corps family, because I tended the club, bar at all the clubs, and then was a dental assistant, medical assistant by day.
Okay.
So I got to stay put a lot more and put roots in. And I think sometimes that makes it a little harder for some than it does others, where if you're constantly rolling, you don't pick up moss. I picked
Sure.
up moss.
You talked about being how fondly Texas was.
Mhm.
Why did you stay in Kansas?
It's where the job was. He
Okay.
retired, he got a job, and then he got another, and he got another, and he got another.
You guys never thought about maybe looking or going back or going
To
elsewhere?
Texas? No.
Texas or anywhere
Yeah,
else you did?
he didn't have as much of a heart in Texas as I had.
Okay.
He did not have as much of a heart in Texas as I had. My son decided to remain in Texas,
Oh.
and then I had a daughter that decided to remain in Texas, and she married a soldier, and she's now in Colorado.
Okay.
And then we have another daughter that is over in Olathe area.
Okay.
And then I have my 2 younger that are with us and a granddaughter. So, we believe in a multi-generational home if needed.
Sure.
So we share our house.
Okay.
But yeah, we were just here. And this is where, even when they leave, they kind of come back. So it's meant to be.
It's interesting you say multi-generational homes because that's becoming more and more of a thing. As we lived in Germany for 4 years, we saw that far more than we ever saw it in Leavenworth. But as we've come back, we've really see people starting to do that. And I think that has a lot to do with the cost of living is so high and cost to buy a home is so high and trying to get our kids settled in a position to be able to do some of those adulting things that sometimes they're not always eager to do.
I think some of that is part of that, but I think it goes much broader. And I can go back to my experience of being a granddaughter to
Uh-huh.
not one, but 2 coal miners. A
Oh,
great grandmother was Chinese,
okay.
and they had a farm. And then my grandfather built her a house right next door to my great grandfather and grandmother's house for the farm. So when my great grandfather collapsed, I could see him from the fence.
Wow.
but that was almost like multi-generational property. So that's how I always grew up, because traditionally, even in a lot of other cultures,
Mhm.
you relied on your family. So it's not so much because of the expense. It's the social and emotional support that you can get with your family. Because as military families, we do go off so many different places.
Mhm.
We lose that. We leave our parents, or our kids leave us,
Yeah.
and we lose that support and that connection. And sometimes, and then unfortunate things can happen, and you may lose that person. You can't get those things back. So when it's possible, that's why I think it's not just the finances and the expenses. Kids are different now.
Sure.
They're a lot different now. And they can find emotional support or therapies and things, but it's still not necessarily the same. So I just think we all should have 10 acres and just start our own little multi-generational family compounds and still stay connected to our communities and learn to grow.
We're going to kind of transition to our second segment, but I wanted to give an opportunity for any upcoming events that maybe you wanted to talk about and let our listeners know about, or anything more that you wanted to mention about the club that maybe we didn't cover.
Well, part of what we do, we have a luncheon
Uh-huh.
tomorrow, and it's
Okay.
our annual international luncheon. And this is where we've invited our international spouses to prepare their favorite foods.
Okay.
And this is what all our ticket holders get to eat. And we opened this. This is one of the few, it's not a fundraiser. We
Uh-huh.
don't even have auction baskets or anything like that.
Okay.
But this is where we offer the community to come in when we put the tickets up for sale, because we need head counts.
Uh-huh.
And they can sample all the international delicacies, because most people aren't even aware about our international community.
Mhm.
And if you're an international sponsor, which I am, I have Saudi Arabia this year, one of the
Okay.
Saudi Arabian families. I've been doing it for about 8-9 years. We get to go to a food fair once a year. Most of the rest of the community doesn't get that
Oh, that's true.
opportunity, and they've not really seen all the other things that encompass, and I'm talking, they will wear their cultural outfits. They will be full-blown culture immersion is the best I can put on it.
Mhm.
So we have that tomorrow. I think
Okay.
we've sold 78 tickets before we had to do
Wow.
the cutoff. I've seen as many as 150 attend in the past.
Wow, that's a lot.
2019, right before COVID, I think we had 120 tickets sold to attend. That was huge. Then we have coming up a photography fundraiser
Okay.
where we're offering, through a photographer, 10 prints and edited images with the Easter Bunny
Okay.
in a greenhouse. And the photographer, Everyday Fresh Light, is giving back to the Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club $75 of the $100.
Wow.
And then you're going to get 10 prints. That's very
Yeah,
reasonable to
very
do.
reasonable.
So there's a couple of dates for that in March. I know 7th and 8th is one, and I think skip a week and then the next week.
Okay.
But check the Facebook page. We have that too. One might be the Easter session. The other one might just be spring,
Okay.
because not everybody wants a bunny hopping around.
Sure.
Part of my service as president, or just the person who loves to volunteer, is I'm the Easter bunny. I have an Easter bunny costume, so I am the Easter bunny, and I did it a couple of years ago for some of our photography, and it turned out really cute and fun. So we thought we'd go ahead and see if we could continue that. We also will have an online really good popcorn sale, and I think the
Okay.
company's called Really Good Popcorn or
Uh-huh.
something similar to that. And then you can buy all this great popcorn. You don't have to leave your home. We don't have to go begging. It's
Just
up
get
for 3
delivered.
days, and it ships directly to you, and it raises funds for that.
Wow.
My goal when I stepped up was, I was just being random and said, I want us to raise $40,000 a year,
Oh my
not
goodness.
even thinking we would come close. And for us to be setting right at about $35,000
Oh my
at
goodness.
the end of 2025, knowing that we have the popcorn, the photography, the tours. I think we're going to beat that goal.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that just means that's that much more we can go back. Could it mean, let's say we get that and it's 40,000, there's 20,000 for scholarships and 20,000 for community grants. That could mean $2,000 grants instead of
Sure.
$1,000 grants, or it could be, $20,000 grants, but it could give an impact to many, many organizations and children and adults to help further their education.
That's exciting stuff. Once again, Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club. The website is
Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club.org.
okay.
And Facebook is Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club FLSC.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So our second segment is let us getting to know Alisa Murphy. This is my favorite segment.
I think we already covered some of that.
Oh no, this is going to be a little more interesting. Before we get into that, you said your great grandfather was Chinese.
Well, yeah, my great-great-grandfather was
Yeah.
Chinese because it's my great-grandmother that I knew.
Okay.
I didn't know him.
And where did they grow up, or where did they come to when they came to the States? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I just know his parents were Chinese too. I'm not exactly sure. They came from Sichuan, China area. Some of those records all burned in a fire.
Uh-huh.
I have her photo with my great-grandfather, but they settled in coal mining country, probably because of the railroads
Uh-huh.
and coal mining, along with a lot of the Scotch and the Irish and the Germans,
Yep.
which is a huge part of the background. I'm from the Appalachians.
Okay.
So they lived in areas like Wise, Coburn, Big Rock, Grundy,
Okay.
Richlands. Richlands would be my dad's side.
Okay.
But the other towns were my mother's. A lot of times they moved. At one point, even though my mother, she's not with us anymore. She passed about 33 or 34 years ago. At one point, she's several years older, but her and Dolly Parton and siblings all went to the same schools because sometimes mining is transient.
Yes.
So you would go from one mining town or camp to another one.
So when I retell this story, I'm going to say your great grandmother was best friends with Dolly Parton?
No,
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My wife is from St. Joe, and so my kids would always say, because Eminem is from St. Joe, that they went to school together, which is not true.
no.
But they like to joke and tease about that. So rapid fire questions: coffee or tea?
Coffee.
A special kind of coffee? Is it just black coffee? Are you a Starbucks
we do
or Scooters?
not particularly.
Okay.
I like saving money.
Uh-huh.
Then I have more to donate if I choose. We like 8 o'clock whole bean. We grind it ourselves.
Okay.
And then I like real heavy cream.
Okay.
Just a little to cool it off. But I believe in real cream, real butter.
All right. Early morning or late nights?
I do both.
Which do you prefer?
And in my position right now, there is no preference. I do both.
You just need more hours in the day.
No. But I get my 7.5 hours sleep
All right.
every night religiously.
One word that describes military spouses.
Oh, that one is tough. One word. Devoted.
Okay. I like it. Hardest part of military life that people underestimate.
The moves.
Okay. Best part of military community life that people are missing out on.
Connections.
Okay. The leadership trait you value most.
Being inspirational.
Okay. I like it. Best piece of advice that you've ever gotten.
Breathe.
A book or resource that has influenced you the most.
Oh, wow. I really wish I could remember the name of that book. It's when I went to the business symposium last year,
Uh-huh.
and there was an author talking about leadership, and we had shared some questions about dynamics and when things can get
Sure.
intense. And I got an autographed copy because
It was that good.
I asked a question. And he's like, you get a book.
Last movie you binge watched or series?
Last series I've binge watched. Oh, Bewitched.
Okay. Last movie you saw in a movie theater?
Oh, Hunger Games, Songbirds and Snakes.
Okay.
And I read those books religiously.
Favorite place to eat in Leavenworth County?
In Leavenworth County. Oh, gee, that's really tough because we're going to have to break it down on meals.
Oh, okay. So let's go breakfast first.
Breakfast first. I love the Depot. Got to have that high protein breakfast.
All right. And lunch?
Well, no, we're still in different.
Still more breakfast.
You got that next one. You got brunch.
Oh, brunch.
And that's suburban.
All right.
That's the suburban. I like for lunch. I don't usually eat lunch. You know, it's always nice grabbing a sandwich at Karma Cakes.
Okay.
And then popping over to Sis Sweets and going in and get the cookie there.
Oh, man.
And then dinner, I do like Metropolitan.
Oh, wow. Okay. Man, you hit all of them right there.
Metropolitan.
If you could sit down with one historical figure, who would it be?
One, Mrs. Smith. Right now at this moment, Mrs. Smith. I'd really like to pick her brain some more about what the challenges were she faced and how she overcame them and any wisdom and discernment that she could offer as we move forward, because we're always going to be ever evolving. So it changes the dynamics for families. How does she see where we are and what she thinks could help those connections grow?
That's our show for today. Thank you so much for being here. It's been very interesting. Learning about the Spouses Club, I think, is very underrated, and that people really need to know the things that you guys get involved with and the opportunities that you present, because they're one of the things that our county does really well is it provides a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of nonprofits there. And the thing that we don't, and I haven't found one that does it really great yet, is we don't promote ourselves well enough so that people can either get involved or find out more information. And I learned that during the leadership class and getting to meet people. And I've had a number of those people on the podcast just so that people out there can get to know the resources we have in our community, the people that are out here trying to help us, the opportunity for scholarships or community giving. I mean, we have such an incredible community in Leavenworth, and I'm certainly proud to be part of it, and I'm sure you are as well.
Very much so. So before you go,
sure,
I want to give you. So these were left over from the previous board. They're little challenge coins.
All right.
But because this year's theme is Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club is where you belong.
Okay.
Because, we're sunflowers, but the bee is the bug of the steak. I improvised it. You get the very first one. It's not going to be perfect, just like there's nothing perfect in the world. But there. Thank you very much. And I also have these little pins, like our shirts, that are kind of like this year's challenge coin. So I'll give you that. So you can always have that. And it'll look really nicely worn with the last year's shirt.
Yep. I got to get one of the newer shirts.
Well, we can help you with that. They're actually half off right now.
Okay.
The other important thing, too, that we do starting January 1st through the end of the board year, our memberships are half off. It's $17.50 instead of $35.
Wow.
Which, considering just meeting with the sub club every month, like I just went to the Boozy Snack Club.
Okay.
Yeah, they offer a hurricane. It was Mardi Gras hurricane, but we also had orange infused water, and we sampled foods and like a potluck. And theme changes every month for that. So for that kind of money to do that, and it doesn't cost anything for that sub club. Crafting, you may have a small fee. Bunko, you have a small fee just because of the way they play Bunko. but there's just a lot of opportunity to do things for free or affordable besides just, paying to attend the lunch. But too, with the membership, some reason the people that have the membership get that information in their email
Yeah.
because members get emails
Yep.
that they get that notification that scholarships have opened up before non-members do. So it's always another good opportunity. Membership has its privileges.
The other thing I wanted to mention before we close out here is I was counting the number of things that you've been involved in. You are a giver in the community. You've been you're on the historical society. You said you're currently on the school board. We didn't even talk about that at all.
PTA.
You're on the PTA.
No, I'm not on the PTA, but
Yep,
Spouses Club. The PTA is here in Kansas because Spouses Club.
Yep. But you are so involved in the community, and that is an incredible way to give back. And so I know I'm thankful for those people who are doing all of that. So I just wanted to thank you for all that you do for our community and the way you give back and the sacrifices you make, because it's not easy.
Well, thank you very much. I feel like not everybody can do everything. And I can't do everything. If I could do more, I would do more. But my kids are grown. I do help take care of my granddaughter, but my kids are grown. So that enables me more time to give while still working my job. Because I have all 4 stores on base under my umbrella with my company. But I feel like it's always good to give back wherever you can. So like even with my company, if we write things off, and I've gotten other vendors when they have to write things off, that I'm the connection that gets it over to Iris over at the community store food pantry. So that could go out in the community and not end up in a waste bin someplace.
That's incredible. I was just at the Leavenworth County food group that's being put together, trying to be a Leavenworth County Food Coalition on Saturday, which is an organization that's trying to put together ways to utilize all these different organizations and try to organize it so that we can get a lot of that food out there to people without food or people with food insecurities. You mentioned you have a business, but I don't know if you mentioned the name of your business.
Depends on which one.
Is there one that you'd like to mention?
Well, I have Sparkle with Alisa, which is Touchstone Crystal by Swarovski.
All right.
I have Alisa's Joy of Jordan Essentials, which is a family skincare company in Nexa, Missouri, Jordan Essentials.
Okay.
And I also do social media marketing. My local client here is Dormel, but there are other clients elsewhere. I just make sure everybody doesn't see who all, because I really don't talk about my family that much. I do spend a lot of time talking about the community and other organizations. That helps maintain some privacy as well. So yeah, I work a little.
Once again, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. It's just very kind of you to come and be a part of this.
To invite me. Thank you so very much.
That's our episode this week. If you like our content, please like and subscribe so that we can continue putting out this information to our community. Once again, Alisa Murphy, president of the Fort Leavenworth Spouses Club. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so very much.